let's talk about something that, whether you realize it or not, touches pretty much everything we do, from planning a wedding to building a rocket. It's called project management. And no, it's not just some boring business buzzword. It's actually a super powerful way to take a messy, chaotic idea and turn it into a real-life success.
But let's get real for a second. We've all been there, right? A project kicks off with all this energy and excitement, but somewhere along the way, it just goes off the rails. It ends up being late, it costs way more than anyone thought, or the final result is just kind of disappointing. So what's the deal? Why do so many projects seem to fail?
To figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and see what's really going on. We're going to uncover the one fundamental reason that so many projects spiral out of control. And you know what? It all boils down to one surprisingly simple, yet totally inescapable challenge.
And here's the thing. This challenge is universal. It doesn't matter if you're building a house, launching a new app, or organizing a community event. Every single project is basically a one-time effort to create something new. And that newness, that uniqueness, is exactly where things get tricky. You're navigating uncharted territory every single time.
This brings us to the main villain of our story. In the world of project management, it's known as the iron triangle or the triple constraints. Seriously, think of it like the laws of physics for any project. These are the rules you just can't break, and they are the source of pretty much every headache and conflict you'll ever face.
So, what exactly is this iron triangle? Well, it has three sides that are all connected. First, we've got scope. That's everything you've promised to do. All the work, all the features, the whole shebang. Second, there's time. That's your deadline, your schedule. And third, you have cost, the budget, the cash, the resources you have to work with. And here's the kicker. These three are locked together. And this is the part you absolutely have to get. You cannot change one side of this triangle without messing up the others. It's a constant push and pull. So, imagine your boss comes to you and says, "Hey, can we add just one more feature?" That's your scope going up. Well, that extra work isn't free. It's either going to take more time to build, or it's going to cost you more money to get it done on the original schedule. There is no other option. It's a law.
Okay, now let's flip it around. What happens if your deadline gets moved up? All of a sudden, you have less time. To hit that new, tighter deadline, something's got to give. You can't just work miracles. You either have to cut back on the scope, do less stuff, or you've got to throw more money at the problem by hiring more people or paying for overtime. You're basically trading cash for speed.
And for the final scenario, what if your budget gets slashed? Less cost? Well, you can't magically produce the same amount of work in the same amount of time for less money. It just doesn't work that way. Your only choices are to shrink the scope, make the project smaller or simpler, or you have to accept that with fewer resources, it's just going to take longer to finish. This push and pull is constant. It's relentless.
So, if this iron triangle is this unbreakable law of nature, how does anything ever get done, right? Well, that's where our hero enters the story, the discipline of project management. See, it's not about trying to break the rules of the triangle. It's about learning how to play the game and manage the trade-offs like a pro.
Okay, so what is project management, really? Well, the official definition is it's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet project requirements. But in plain English, it's the strategy you use to wrestle with that iron triangle, to plan, organize, and execute a project so that you can actually deliver what you promised.
And this isn't just making stuff up as you go along. It's a real discipline with a playbook. A good project manager's job is to figure out exactly what needs to be done, listen to what everybody wants, and then constantly, and I mean constantly, balance those competing constraints of scope, time, and cost. And to do that, they often use a standardized guide called the PM Buck. That stands for the Project Management Body of Knowledge, which basically gives everyone a common language and framework to work from. Now, that playbook gives us a super reliable game plan. And what's really cool is that while every project is totally unique, launching an app is not the same as building a bridge, the actual process for managing them follows the same 5 logical steps every single time.
It all breaks down like this. First up, you have initiation. That's just getting the official thumbs up to start. Then comes the most critical part, planning, where you map everything out. After that, it's time for executing, where your team actually builds the thing. But you can't just walk away. That's why step 4, monitoring and controlling, is happening at the same time. You're constantly checking your progress and making course corrections. And finally, you get to closing, where you tie up all the loose ends and formally finish the project.
So following those 5 steps is kind of the what you need to do in project management. But there's also the how you do it. The specific strategy or the methodology you pick to get through those steps can be totally different depending on the kind of project you're tackling.
And really, there are two big approaches that everyone talks about. On one hand, you've got waterfall. This is the traditional, old-school way. Think of it like building a house. You have to finish the foundation before you can put up the walls. One step has to be 100% complete before you can move to the next. Then you've got Agile. Agile is all about being flexible. It's iterative, which means you work in these short little cycles, constantly learning and adapting as you go.
So let's break that down. With Waterfall, your scope is locked in from the start, and you usually don't get any real feedback until the very end. That's perfect for something like construction, where you know exactly what the final building should look like. But with Agile, the scope is expected to change, and you're getting feedback constantly. This is why the tech world completely fell in love with it. Think about it. When you're building software, you often don't know the perfect solution up front. Agile gives you a way to discover it along the way, making it amazing for projects full of uncertainty.
So as we bring this all home, let's circle back to that central idea. Project management isn't some magic wand you can wave to make those constraints disappear. The iron triangle is always there. The real skill, the art of it all, is learning how to manage it.
At the end of the day, the whole job boils down to making smart, strategic trade-offs. You cut a feature to hit your deadline, do you spend more money to add that one cool thing? Success isn't about getting everything you ever wanted. It's about making the right choices, the right sacrifices, so the project achieves its most important goals.
So I want you to think about this for your own goals. Your next big project, whether it's at work or in your personal life. You can't have unlimited features, infinite time, and a $0 budget. That same iron triangle applies to you too. So the real question is, what trade-offs are you willing to make to call it a success?